growing up in Oakland and spending time there, hip hop was all around us. It was like early, mid 80s or whatever. And, you just hear those sounds. Our neighbors used to blast like EPMD, Run DMC, Too Short. And those sounds just kind of like stayed with me. And as I kind of got older, I started getting more into hip hop and rap and just kind of, it was like this golden era, right? We had Run DMC and they were wearing their Adidas. You had Jam Master Jay behind the turntables, and it was just like this really amazing thing to me. My love for just hip hop grew from there. And then by the time I got into 10th grade, I said, I want to DJ. I want to learn how to do that. And that's where my journey really started. Music to me is life. When I hear music, I don't, you hear culture, you hear people's heritage and just kind of like a lot of emotion and just kind of the sounds and the instruments and everything that is used. I find it fascinating. As a DJ, you also listen for the beat, and the beat is always kind of like, how can I mix that? How would I mix that? My dream was always to kind of do something in the music industry, but breaking into the industry itself is difficult. It's something that you have to have connections, relationships. You have to know people, basically. And so one of my early mentors in the game was a guy by the name of Mike Futagaki. And so I met him through work that I did at Cameo back in the day and through other circles. One day Mike said, you know what, Dan, I'm going to start my own thing. I'm going to move to LA. I want you to come out. I'm going to set up shop, and then I want you to come out a few months later. And at that point I was in college and going through my studies, but my passion for music was huge because I was like, I think if I want to take that next step, then this is what I got to do. I got to move. I got to get out of my comfort zone, and I got to go to a different area and basically start anew. And so I was just waiting for Mike to give me the call and tell me. So I would check in with him every so often. And then one day, about like 4 or 5 months after Mike went and he set up shop in LA, I got a call that he unfortunately had passed away. So he was walking out somewhere and somehow he collapsed, and that was it. And so at that moment, it was just kind of like shocking because it's like, my hopes and dreams were kind of, with Mike and he was my mentor and he was somebody that I admired and just had a lot of respect for. And, to get that news was a little shocking and sad. And who knows what would have happened if Mike was around. Things might have been a lot different in my life right now. With this whole pandemic, it's definitely been very hard on DJs. There's still an appetite from people that they want to hear good music. They want to hear, DJs rock. And so for a while, especially like in February, March of this year, it was just kind of weird because there was none of that going on. And so then you start seeing like DJs get on Facebook and Twitch and Instagram and start streaming. And so I started seeing that and I was like, man, that's actually kind of cool. But, for me, I hadn't really spent the time and invested a lot of energy in kind of like, how do you stream? And streaming it itself, you can just turn on your phone or your laptop and start streaming. But, if you're going to DJ, you want to do it with some quality, right? So I taught myself how to, some of the basics of streaming, some of the tools that you can use. And we started streaming, started slow and kind of adding and fixing and adjusting, and we've kind of been, we've definitely had a lot of success and started to get more comfortable, and it's been fun because as a DJ, you're always kind of accumulating music, getting new music, working on your mixes, and this was an outlet. It was an outlet where we can do that and mix live, and people got very excited, in different groups and communities. There's always a DJ here or there, and people just get happy when they hear the local DJ or a DJ just play. It uplifts your spirit, especially in this past year where it's been so tough. My KCRH days, KCRH 89.9 FM on the dial, our show was called Club 90, and it was myself, D-Real, my man DJ Mike, and Kia. We used to get a lot of music, and the way that you got it was, for me there, you picked it up at the local record store. Eventually, after I started working in radio, I got on some music label mailing lists, and so they used to send me vinyl and records all the time. And sometimes you know what you were going to listen to, and then you just drop that needle and you hear that boom bap sound that comes over the speakers. You're like, whoa, that is amazing. And it would just like blow our minds. It's like the most amazing thing we've ever heard in our life. During that time frame when we did our show for 10 plus years, we had a mix of folks come by. I mean, we had Mobb Deep come by. We had Exhibit. Before anybody knew who Exhibit was, before he was pimping rides, Mac Dre came by our show. He actually did the first interview after he got out of jail one time. He came by and he said, "You guys are my first interview since I got out." DJing is not something that you get into because, hey, I'm going to make a lot of money and this and that. DJing and the DJs that I know and that I love and respect, we all do it because we love the music. We love the art of DJing. It's a part of hip hop. And, for us, it's a way of life. It's also a creative outlet, right? Because there's nothing more pure than, you drop a needle on the record, you hear the cracks of the song, and then you hear that beat, and it's just like, it just sounds so crisp. And then your first inclination is, I want to mess with it. I want to scratch with it. I want to manipulate the beats, and I want to go back and forth with it. The turntable to me is an instrument, right? Part of being a turntable DJ is being able to kind of get a feel for how your instruments work, how you can use your mixer to create different sounds. And a scratch DJ, you're just creating sounds. And some DJs like Hubert, they can make notes, like musical notes, out of the sound manipulation. And so a lot of that is, it takes time to kind of perfect your art. If you're just working, your 9 to 5 or whatever you're doing, and you don't have that outlet, then in my view, it just makes for just kind of like this very dreary kind of life. For me, I like a lot of balance, a lot of things to be very eclectic, and music and DJing gives that to me. I want to DJ with the new music. I want to find new music, and it's just, for me, it's just part of also who I am and how I grew up and my mindset. And on top of that, it's just a creative outlet. If I was just, again, doing a 9 to 5, I feel like my life would be just boring. And so being able to DJ and do something that I've loved for so long, it's just part of who I am at this point. I don't think I'll ever give it up. I mean, if I get to be 80 years old, I'm still going to rock the turntables. I'm still going to DJ a party. If people will have me, I'll rock. And if not, then maybe we'll be streaming. We'll do the old man stream.
Be the leader of the West. Be the leader of the West. Better be ready.